Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, y'all. Welcome to another episode of Inspire by Kara. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're here. I hope you're having a good morning so far. I know it's 10 o'clock on the East Coast. It is 9 o'clock here in CT time here in Chicago, and it's 7 a.m. right early, 7 a.m. on Pacific. And so if you are here, I'm surely appreciative that you are spending your morning with me. I see you guys coming in. I see you guys coming in. Good morning, my friend Angelina. Good morning, sis. Good morning, Allie. Good morning. Good morning. We're going to give some time for folk to be able to come in. So if you're joining us for the first time, if you're catching us right now live, or you're joining us in the replay, I am Sue A. Webley. I'm your host for Inspired by Kara. I'm the founder of Kara Solutions LLC, which provides administrative business and consulting services to small business owners, social entrepreneurs, and faith based and community based organizations. And so this show, Inspire, is a weekly broadcast that was created to highlight BIPOC, that's Black, Indigenous, people of color, entrepreneurs, influencers, and creatives who are working to create lasting change in their communities and in the world. So it is Pride Month. So happy Pride, y'all. Happy Pride to my LGBTQ plus siblings and all of our guests this month at Aspire, and also our feature tags on Friday mornings will be are members of the LGBTQ plus community. And so speaking of Pride, some news this week. This week, President Biden signed an executive order that bolstered LGBTQ plus protections in this country. And so, according to the White House, this executive order, it builds on the historic progress that the president has made so far for LGBTQ plus people, and it does a few things. It's addressing discriminatory legislative attacks against LGBTQ plus children and families, directing key agencies to protect families and children. Um, it's preventing so-called conversion therapy with an historic initiative to protect children from the harmful practice by safeguarding healthcare and programs designed to prevent youth suicide, by supporting LGBTQ plus children and families, by launching a new initiative to protect foster youth, prevent homelessness, and improve access to federal programs, and by taking new additional steps to advance LGBTQ plus equality. So let me know in your thoughts, in the comments, what your thoughts are about this executive order, about this initiative. Feel free to kind of shout out your thoughts about it. There are a whole bunch of things that we are expecting President Biden to do. This is just one of them, but there are also many social justice initiatives that we need him to kind of get the ball moving on. So that's why we put you in office, Biden, so do your job. Do your job. All right. So this weekend, we are also celebrating Juneteenth and Father's Day. So here at Inspire, we want to wish Happy Father's Day, right, to all of the fathers and those who stand in the gap as father figures, those who stand as proxy for fathers. We certainly appreciate you, and certainly we are not going. We also honor those who may not have had a good relationship with their fathers, or who maybe who are mourning their father, the loss of their father. So we also hold you. We're also holding space for you. Tomorrow, Father's Day may be a difficult time for you. We want to hold space for you. We honor that. We honor you today. We honor you today. Right now, we are live, of course, on Facebook, on Twitter, and on YouTube. And so I invite you to, as I will always do, to connect, to like, to follow, to subscribe to us on social media, because we want to stay connected with you. And let me see, let me help you out here. Okay. So we want you to connect, follow, like, subscribe. Connect, follow, like, and subscribe. right now we are on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube at Cara Solutions LLC. We're on Twitter at Cara Solutions. I couldn't get that LLC in that Twitter. I was trying to have it the same across all platforms, but Twitter just jacks stuff up sometimes. And you can head over to our website at www.cara-solutions.com. And so there's a favor that I ask of you today. I um, I inspire to or I would like to, sorry, inspire wasn't a word for that right there, but I would like to also go live on LinkedIn. And for me to be able to do that, I need to get my numbers up on LinkedIn. I have a new page on LinkedIn, and so I'm kind of rebuilding my network on there. And so you need a certain amount of numbers, you need a certain amount of connections and a certain amount of followers in order to also go live on LinkedIn, to be able to fill out that application and to be considered to go live on LinkedIn. So if you have not already connected to me on LinkedIn, I'm going to ask that you do that. I'm going to ask that you do that, at your earliest, at some point, at your convenience. So I'm going to post that link into the chat right now. Let me do that for you. So it's in the chat. It's in the chat right now. When you get a chance, please, please, please follow me on LinkedIn, because we want to be able to go live over on LinkedIn as well. So before we get into our show for today, I want you to let me know where you're watching from, where you're listening from, and you know how we do at Inspired by Cara. I want to know what's in your cup. What's in your cup this morning? So you always know I got coffee in my cup. Coffee before talking. All right. So let me take a sip. Shout out in the comments what you are sipping on, whether it's coffee, whether it's tea, whether it's water, whether it's a smoothie, OJ, apple juice, whatever you're drinking. And maybe nighttime somewhere in the world, or evening time, you might have a little libation in your cup. Whatever it is, I want to know about it. So shout out in the comments where you're watching from and where. I see you, Angelina, and what you are drinking. What you are drinking. Shout out. Yes, coffee. Yes, Allie, my sister's drinking coffee. And I know that last week she shared with us her special brew, the one that she put together herself. Remind us of what that is, Allie. Remind us of what that is, because I need to try that for myself. Gonna put this banner up. Yeah, what are you sipping on? What are you sipping on? And even if you're gonna catch this in the replay, make sure that you put hashtag replay when you're catching this in the replay. But also, I want to know from you, if you're catching this in the replay, what are you sipping on? Right? You might catch this in the replay in the afternoon. You might catch it at night. So whatever you are sipping on at that moment, right? We want to know about it. We want to know about it. And we will always ask what you're sipping on here at Inspired by Cara. So be prepared to come and let us know what you are drinking. Okay, so Allie is drinking caramel macchiato. Good morning. Oh, good morning, my friend Evelyn. It's so good to see. Yes, coffee Bustelo. Yes. Good morning, Evelyn. Thank you for sharing what you are drinking. Allie, of course, is drinking caramel macchiato with sweet Italian cream. I'm going to need to try that. That sounds like a good combination. Right now, I'm doing my regular. It is decaf. I know some of you will say that decaf is not real coffee, and depending on where you get that decaf from, I'm obliged to agree with you. Right? Because usually when someone else, like if you go and you order decaf from like a cafe, or you're at a restaurant and you order decaf, that thing is just straight up water. It's just watered down, right? And a lot of times I will send it back, because if I wanted water, I would just drink the tap water that they put on my table. So, but if you make it yourself, you can make it as strong as you like. And the reason I drink decaf and not regular, very rarely will I drink regular coffee, is because I have heartburn, y'all. Listen, it will kick in my heartburn. And that is not a pleasant feeling. So yes, I will drink my little decaf to save my esophagus from being burned. So thank you so much, all of you who are coming in, for sharing what you're drinking, what you're sipping on. I might ask it again before we end today. But thank you so much for sharing what you are sipping on this morning. So we are going to get into our guest for today. I'm excited about our guest because, on top of all the things that I'm going to share with you from his bio, Dewayne Queen happens to be one of my spiritual brothers, and it is just really amazing that we were able to kind of grab time with each other. So Dewayne Queen is the founder of Swank Arts and Entertainment. Swank Arts and Entertainment. He is a native of Baltimore, has been involved in the events and media production industries for nearly 20 years. Dewayne is known for his innovative approach and fiscal responsibility. That's important in business. He is a highly trusted and respected professional with a national impact. He is also a community leader who fights for equitable access, both individually and as a board member, for several organizations. In 2018, after fully accepting his call to event and production work, Dewayne founded Swank Arts and Entertainment. And initially, this company focused on providing the Black community with access to high quality, exceptional services. But over the years, the company's clientele shifted and now represents the full diversity of American society. The growth has taken the Swank experience across the United States. And Dewayne's work so far with Swank includes program development, talent procurement, contract negotiation, logistical management, budget development and management, media relations, and branding and marketing. So we are going to learn a little bit about Dewayne this morning. Now, unfortunately, he could not be here live. Oh, my heart. He could not be here live with us because he had to work this morning, but we did manage to get together yesterday to have a sit down and conversation. And so what I'm about to show you is the account of our interview yesterday. So I want you to sit back, relax, even if you have like questions and stuff. He'll be checking the chat once he has the time. So if you have questions and comments for Dewayne as you're watching, please put them in. Because we want to be able to get those questions, and we want him to be able to answer those questions for you. And see, well, listen, put my camera back on. And he is going to give away some Swank gear, right? And so if you put the hashtag Inspire, I'm going to show you what it looks like right now. We want to make sure that you do it right. Do the hashtag Inspire. Make sure that there are no spaces, right? Hashtag Inspire. You will be entered in the drawing that we will have before we end. You'll be entered in the drawing to win some Swank swag. Okay? So without further ado, let's get into our interview with Dewayne Queen.
Greatest gift that you can give yourself is to find something that you're naturally adept at and figure out a way to make a living at it. Because if you do that, every day will be a play day. You're never battling upstream. You love what you do. And if you love what you do, why do you want to stop doing it?
Hi.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's so good to see you. It's so good to have you here. It's so one of the things I was thinking about, after I knew that you were going to be available for us to do this pre-recorded thing today, was that I was like, yeah, look at where we are now.
Man.
Where we were.
Oh man, it's so amazing. And I do this with you and I do this with Rainier,
Mm-hmm.
in particularly the both of you. I do this with you and just think back periodically to our very beginnings,
Yeah.
which was like 2010 or 2011, to see how much you both have progressed, to see how much you both have accomplished, to
Mm.
see how much you both have grown, and also to see just how life has just really really gained you experience in so many different areas and aspects. And I love the both of you. Like when I say y'all are my sisters, y'all are my sisters. I don't kid around about it. It has never changed. Every time we talk about either one of you, y'all are my sisters. But
Oh,
you all know,
yeah.
I don't. That's not one of those, because we toss around that brother, sister, family, cousin situation all the time. But
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
two of you in particularly have seen me at my best. You've seen me at my worst. You've seen me. We've fed each other. We've laughed with each other. We've cried with each
We
other.
cussed each
We've
other out.
we've held each other up. We've helped each other out,
We
child.
cussed each other out. Like true family.
No, legitimately, we've been stuck in the house doing hurricanes together, child. We are family for real. We
Yes,
are
yes,
family for real.
yes. And all the things that come with family. That's why I made sure I say cuss each other out. Because I don't want people to think that, just because we're family, that we there's never any conflict, right?
Listen. It started with conflict.
It showed up there.
Y'all did not like me. Listen, my sisters. Now listen, and that's the beauty of the relationship, because I think that when we started, y'all were like, we don't know who this little queen is coming
Like,
in
who
here.
is here?
Who is he, and why is he trying to take all? Listen, but the reality is, you both took the opportunity to get to know me,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I did the same with you, and
yeah.
that forced us to become family.
Yes, yes, yes. And
Yeah.
I appreciate the divine for that, because I know I could also speak for Rainier that both of us would have been missing out on such a rich relationship with you.
Oh
And
man.
so I'm so glad that it worked out the way that it did. I'm glad that we got the conflict out of the way. So now it's just smooth like gravy, right?
That part.
Out
That
of the
part.
way. It's like, okay, now we got that out of the way. Listen, anything else that we face is just, it'll just
Yeah.
push right off our shoulders. And so, I was thinking about this again. I just never imagined that we would be here, right? Sitting across from each other in this virtual space, and talking about both of us having our companies, both of
Yeah.
us doing production, both
Yeah.
right. Like it was just something that I never imagined, but I'm so glad. I'm so glad that we ended up here. And I needed to start with that reel. I did steal it from your Instagram.
That's all right.
When I was looking, I gave you credit though. You got the credit, for making it. I just stole it and just, put it here. But that quote that's on that reel is one of my favorites by Judge Judy, and I want
Yeah.
to say it again just for those who are watching and listening, who didn't get it because at the end it kind of cut off a little. You know how Instagram do it. It's just a
Yes.
you think you have a whole quote and it just cut it off at the end. TikTok does that too. But it says the greatest gift that you can give yourself is to find something that you're naturally adept at and figure out a way to make a living at it. Because
Yeah.
if you do that, this is like a preach word. If you do that every day, will be a play day, right?
Yeah.
You're never battling upstream. You love what you do. And if you love what you do, why do you want to stop doing it? Love what you do. And for what I've seen, brother, and following you on social media, even though like we're not in the same state. We're you're in Atlanta, I'm in Chicago now. I see from afar that you are loving. You're loving what you're doing. I see
Yeah.
it in all of your videos. I see it in all, of your photos. That light is just really emanating. It's just so illuminating. It's shining from you, and that's good to see. I love to see it. I love to see it.
I appreciate that so much. It's interesting that and we all tend to have this issue is that you get the glimpses of the good days.
Yeah, yeah,
But as equally as they are good days, there are some tough days.
oh,
There have been plenty of days that I have said, am I really doing what I would like? Is this like,
mhm.
oh, or if the finances aren't meeting, my expectations, or if I'm not getting the clients that I would so desire, or even during the launch recently, just last week, I just officially launched the company, but
Yes,
that was, thank you,
congratulations,
thank
congratulations.
you. But that was at the behest of a business manager that I hired.
Mm,
My business manager was like, have you actually launched your company? And I was like, I don't even know what that looks like. I'm just doing what I want to do. And
yeah,
so he was like, no, you actually need to have a launch. People need to know what you're doing. People need to see and get the word out that you're actually doing production work and, event management. And they need to know that. Otherwise, you're just going to keep spinning your own wheels. And so I bit the bullet, because we have a hard time celebrating ourselves.
yes, we do. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we
absolutely do. Hmm.
and so I bit the bullet and really invested in doing the launch, and it was great. It was wonderful. People came out, and that I'll tell you a very very sad secret of mine is that
Hmm.
I have this humongous fear of planning something and nobody shows up.
Right.
I that is a huge fear
Mm.
of mine. And so I was like the week prior, I was like, I just want to cancel it. I don't think anybody's coming. I don't. Meanwhile, it sells out. You know, like, and I'm like, oh man. But honestly, I'm grateful for those that could make it and those that couldn't make it and those that reached out and those that showed love.
Mhm.
Um, on the strength of me, not even really knowing what the company was about or what I was doing. They just know, "Oh, it's a company launch, but we don't know what you're doing.
Right.
Oh, this is what you do. I got a whole bunch of those. This is it. Oh, wow. But I do a lot of work behind the scenes. I pull
Mhm.
things together behind the scenes a lot. We both have that kind of that drive where we
Yeah.
just, we'll pull it together and you never know we were doing it until we pop up on a conversation like this and be like,
Right,
oh,
right. So I realized that congratulations again, brother,
thank
on
you.
that launch.
Thank
One
you.
of the things I just realized as you were speaking, I was like, I've never really had a launch for Carrie either. It's just, like, hey, we're here,
Ah,
we're here, and we're doing the work, right? So that's
yes,
something that I have to think about. But I realized
yes.
that in prepping for our conversation today that there's some things I didn't know.
Uh-oh.
I was like, okay, I didn't know this about my brother. So tell us, in your own words, who is Dwayne Queen? Who are you?
Dewayne Queen is, um, I, I hate this question so much because it's so hard to talk about yourself.
It really is
Um,
about yourself, but just go ahead and
I'm
listen.
gonna just dive in
Write
there.
it down and just carry it with you for the next interview. Somebody else actually say question
Right,
you already have. Go
right.
ahead.
I'm gonna go back and watch this myself and be like, oh, I said this. Um, I am first and foremost, I am a son of God. I am Lolita's son.
Mm-hmm.
I am Rodney's son. I am humble and love and just my heart is probably as big as my head. Dwayne really is someone when you get to know him is someone that truly cares about people.
Yeah.
I always have a heart for people and a heart for making sure that people are good.
Yeah.
And to my own fault sometimes, even when they don't deserve it. But my heart is always for people and wanting to make sure that the community understands, our community, our people.
Yes.
I have a heart for our LGBTQ community,
Yes.
which we'll talk about. I'm sure we'll talk about my initiative that I created a little bit later for the trans community. But I'm just a simple guy. I love to laugh. We know this. We
Yes.
have such a good time.
Yeah.
But Dewayne is someone that just loves people. I really, in any capacity, whether I'm working with you, whether I'm friends with you, whether I've just met you. Somebody once told me that I could sell a used car to a car salesman.
So
I was like,
ice to somebody in Alaska. You try to Eskimo, I know.
right. I can sell ice to an Eskimo. But yeah, I'm a product of just love. I think that's truly just who I am. And will do anything I can to make sure that comes across.
Yeah.
I hope I answered that right. I hate that question so much.
No, there's really no wrong answer to that. And honestly, this is what I'm doing right now for people that are wondering why my head is down. I need to turn off my phone so that we don't get a phone call in the middle of our interview.
Because Sue is famous and she will get phone calls in the middle of her interview.
I don't know about famous now, but I'm gonna claim that. That all of what you said is what I have come to know and love about you.
Yeah.
Right. And again, I know I said that I'm so grateful that that we're able to have this rich relationship. I would have missed out on all of that. We allow conflict to kind of to carry us, right? If we allow conflict to be our guide, we would certainly miss out on a rich relationship. I forgot to ask you, what's in your cup before you respond? What is in your cup?
Water. Listen, we gotta keep this skin together and hydrated because it is hot in these streets. Do you hear me? 98 degrees, 113 degrees in Georgia. It's hot.
It just started getting hot in Chicago. I was wondering where the heat was because I'm still getting acclimated to Chicago, and the weather was just been up and down. Like literally, you could experience spring, fall, and and summer all in the same day. Probably.
And you only get like 3 months of it, don't you?
Yeah, I didn't know that before I moved here. I probably would have thought about it. Right. So yeah, the heat has finally come.
Yeah, good.
The heat has finally arrived, and so I'm able to kind of get out with all of that stuff. But yes, so thank you for kind of just confirming for me who you are and letting other people know just who you are as a person. Some of the things that I didn't know about you was how deep in the arts and entertainment sector you were before we met. I had no idea. I'm just like, he does a little something.
Exactly.
He wasn't some plays and stuff. But I didn't know. I didn't know that your history in this area was so vast. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't really talk about it a lot. I kind of thrive on being the underdog a little bit. Only because you underestimate me. And when you underestimate me, then that gives me the full opportunity to shine and be exactly who I already know that I am.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting to me. I don't really talk about it. I have such a deep love for the arts and the industry and production and film and all of those great things. Yeah. But I don't really boast about it because to me, to be quite honest, even though I have, you've gone through that list, I still have a long way to go. I still have a lot of things that I still want to, check off my list. But it's there.
Yeah. So tell us about Swank.
So Swank Arts and Entertainment was something, and I'll tell you the actual story. In 2018, so by profession, as you know, but everybody else may not know, or by a certain profession, I'm a flight attendant. So I fly, and I was on the plane and I was serving Cokes and cookies, and I heard the Holy Spirit say, "You need to start a business." This was in 2018,
Wow.
and I was like, "What?" And so, sight unseen, sight unheard, I was like, "Okay, I'll invest. I'll come up with a name,
Mm-hmm.
and I will submit the paperwork to get the LLC for the business." And I did, and then it sat on the shelf because I didn't really know what I wanted to do with it. And it's so funny because I had a friend of mine commission the logo, do the name, get all that stuff done, and then it sat there.
Wow.
And then the pandemic hit,
Mm-hmm.
and I took a year off of work. And I said, well, what am I going to do while I'm sitting here? Oh, I have this company on the shelf that I have no idea about. Let's kind of develop that.
Wow.
So initially, it started as a multimedia production and event management company because obviously we were all quarantined at home.
Yep.
And we needed, something to do. So I started doing interviews and doing online stuff initially, and garnered some great conversations with several different people, several celebrities, people that I just knew. Like, hey, I know you sitting at home. I'm sitting at home. Hop on IG and let's do this conversation real quick, and that's kind of how it developed. And even since then, it has evolved to now we do event management and logistics. And that came from my love and my individual work as an independent contractor with Essence Music Festival from 2003 to 2018.
Wow. Wow.
So I would do production work with Essence as an independent contractor every year. And how that came about is in 2003, and this is pre my relationship with my sister Sue. I was a volunteer for Essence, and I came in to the main stage at the Superdome, got a little introduction, very minimal information about what they wanted us to do. But I took it upon myself to take that information, like the maps and the tours and everything, and the celebrities that we were working with that particular day. And I gathered the volunteers and said, okay, well, why don't we break this down and make this easier for us? Let's find the elevators that we need to be able to use backstage. Let's find the, escalators we need to be able to, go. Let's find the egress and all that other stuff. Little beknownst to me, the producer was watching me.
Wow.
And the producer was the one that said every year, let's bring Dewayne back. Let's put him on staff. Let's pay him. So from 2003 to 2007, I worked Essence as a full paid staff member for that production company. And so production has always been a love, whether it was concert form, theater form, movie form, in whatever capacity. So I decided to take that love and create my own company. So that's kind of where Swank grew and where it came from. And then I know you'll ask. So Swank is my family's nickname. My grandfather has been calling me Swank since I was born.
Oh, wow.
So it means a dapper, well-dressed young man. And so that is where the name came from.
Yes. So thank you for answering that, because I sure was going to ask. So let me just go ahead and answer it now. So she wants that. What has the response been from the community? I know you just had your, the official launch, but we've been seeing Swank for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So what has been the response from the community?
What's interesting? I get a lot of inboxes from other LGBTQ members of the community who might have either seen my podcast or seen my interviews, and they really gravitate towards my approach of interviewing. It's just like having a conversation, just like you and I are sitting and talking. And that is with no, broadcasting training or none of that or it's just how I connect and relate with people. But the response, to answer your question, and I get those inboxes, really means a lot, to me. It really has grown the brand in itself. And so I'm really looking to do the same within the production realm of people just knowing or seeing the logo and going, oh, or I know Dwayne, or it's that cross connectivity, or cross reach of each other. And so it's been a great response, to be quite honest. People are starting to recognize it, people are starting to see it. Now, I will be honest and transparent with you. Is it at the pace that I personally would like? Absolutely not. But it will grow, and it will do what it is intended to do. And I'm grateful for that. But the response has been truly awesome. I mean, even a testament to everyone coming out last week for the launch,
Yeah.
Sight unseen and unheard for some of them. But because it was me, on the strength of me, they were like, "Oh, we'll come and support you." And then afterwards, like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know, just like you. I didn't know you had all, or you did all of this, you had all of that, or and maybe I need to do a better job of putting it out there." But yeah.
So are there any projects that you've done so far since you began Swank that you are particularly proud of?
Yes, yes. So our initial project was with, and it was an online project that we did with the Southeast Region's 49er fans.
Mhm.
They usually do a tailgating event every summer, and that encompasses Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Georgia, Florida, and some of the Carolinas. So
Mhm.
they all come together as 49ers fans. But what I did for them and created for them initially was a virtual tailgating party. And so they chose a destination for each of the regions. If you lived in a certain circumference of that area, you would go to this location, and they broadcasted their parties from different locations. So we had a DJ that piped into all of those locations, and so we were all listening to the same music. We were all, and this was all virtual. So we would just simultaneously go from camera to camera and allow them to cheer on and party as well, and it was a huge success.
Mhm.
And so that was an initial event that I was extremely proud of. And then as of recently, um, I did the crew of Symphony, as a Mardi Gras crew, their Mardi Gras ball.
Oh, wow.
And that was a lot of work, but it was so much fun, and it was so beautiful,
Mhm.
and such a good time, and so it was a great opportunity to connect with the crew. If you're not familiar, for those that are watching, if you're not familiar with crews in New Orleans, there are a lot of different crews. Like, you might have heard of Crew of Zulu,
Mm.
or some of those other crews that have parades during Mardi Gras. Well, those crews also have balls, and it's the time for you to put on your finest. They present the court for that year and the king and queen, and then
Oh,
they party, they have a good time, they have music artists and guests, and it's a beautiful event and a beautiful opportunity. So that was wonderful. That was an awesome opportunity.
wonderful. Can you tell us some of the other, and I know you wear multiple hats, right? So what are some of the other initiatives you are involved with?
I'm already tired. So I also sit on the board for Atlanta Black Pride, and I am the logistics coordinator for them as well. And so each year, that was my first year was last year. This
Mhm.
is my second year, and coming into the board, they asked me to look at their programming, and what their yearly programming, and if I wanted to add anything or subtract anything, I could. And so I noticed that they did not have a trans initiative at all. They had nothing that catered towards the trans community, and this was their 25th anniversary of Atlanta Black Pride.
Wow.
And so they gave me the autonomy to spearhead what I call the Trans Life Awards. And what we do is we honor the trans men and women and the non-binary members of our community that really are working tirelessly for all of us.
Mhm.
And so we honored about 8 members of the transgender community last year, as our inaugural year. And it's a beautiful event that we do. So this will be our second annual,
Wonderful.
uh, and I'm so excited for those that we have coming together. So this is underwritten by Swank. So we're working in tandem with Atlanta Black Pride
Nice.
to pull this together. We will be honoring about 10 people this year. So we upped it a little bit, and then we'll have a special award. So we'll be honoring 11 people this year. It will be held at the Starling, which is the former W Hotel in 14th in Atlanta, and it's on their 26th floor. So it's a beautiful. We're just taking it up a notch this year.
Yeah,
Last year
nice.
was the first year. This year it will really be a grand event, and I am so excited because I really, I had to tread lightly with this, and particularly number one because I am not I'm not a part of the transgender community,
Right.
and
Mhm.
so I take it with great care that I don't want them to think that I am just coming in to bombard and really be a chauvinist of their community. But I
Mhm.
really feel like it's they don't get their just due. The trans community does not get their just due because when the trans community fights for rights and legislation and all of those things, they don't just fight for themselves. They fight for all of us in the LGBTQ or IA plus community. So I
Right.
took it upon myself to create a space to celebrate them.
Wonderful.
So that's one of the initiatives that I have. I also am a member of the Out Georgia Business Alliance, which is kind of like the Better Business Bureau for LGBTQ businesses in Atlanta, in the state of Georgia, actually. Forgive me. And so I'm a new board member there as well.
Wonderful.
Uh, and we are working on the summit that will be happening July 13th and 14th. To kind of empower our LGBTQ businesses in the state of Georgia. So, aside from that, I also am, we have a business resource group with Delta Airlines called Equal. It is our LGBTQ business resource group. I serve as the Atlanta representative for that as well. So I do a lot of elbow rubbing and conversations surrounding making sure that equality is felt throughout our company and with the members of the LGBTQ community, because we do employ some trans men and women. We do employ, obviously some lesbian and gay men and women as well. And some non-binary men and women, non-binary. I'm still working out my understandings, but we're getting it there.
Yeah.
But we also employ some non-binary persons as well. And, it is my goal to make sure that they feel seen, that they feel comfortable in their workplace and in their environment, and to just make sure that those that are in the Atlanta sector are, their voices are heard, by our company. So I do a lot, sis, and it doesn't feel like it, but it is a great undertaking. Oh God, and I'm also creative. I'm also the creative director for the Black Gay Weddings platform. If you follow Black Gay Weddings on IG, if you don't, you should. We highlight some incredibly beautiful couples that for their engagements or their weddings, or we've highlighted I've crashed some weddings and came, as a host for the show for Black Gay Weddings. But we are getting ready to take Black Gay Weddings to Essence next week.
Wonderful.
We will be vendors at the Essence Music Festival. So if you're watching this and you're going to be at Essence, please come to the convention center and stop by the Black Gay Weddings table. Say hello, buy some merchandise. We'll have some t-shirts, some mugs, some fans, like the big, flat fans that everybody loves, and hats. So if you're going to be at Essence, please come to the convention center for the Black Gay Weddings booth. It's free. So please come by if you're going to be in New Orleans or surrounding areas. But I do a lot, sis. I love you. I do a lot.
Listen. I think with you trying to become an honorary Jamaican. I just
listen. Can I get my card? Do I have to pass a test and make some roti or like some oxtails or something? We can figure that out.
I'll talk to my mom, and she's real good at making folk honorary. So. For those of you who are watching, I'm going to make sure all of those links that Dewayne mentioned are in the audience so that you can go, click them and find out more information and make it your business to support all of those initiatives. Thank you so much for sharing all of those things with us. So I want to go back. Just a little bit to our time together, right? Our journey And again, I know I started off saying that, I just would not have even fathomed that we would be here, right? Um, and with each other in this way, in this particular space.
Yeah.
And I know that there was a time that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that you kind of you left ministry to go into the entrepreneurship space. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct.
So what would you say? And you mentioned it. You did say the Holy Spirit talked to you, right, about Swank in particular. But what was the catalyst for you leaving ministry at the time that you did to kind of pursue this entrepreneurial journey?
I think, so it's so multi-layered. For me in particularly, my transition specifically from New York to Atlanta was one of so many things, hurt, manipulation, so many things. But I took it upon myself, because the one thing that I never, or at least I never have done, and I don't think I ever will do, is I will never deny God's presence in my life, in any area or any aspect or any capacity. It has always been the people that claim they represent God that have always got in the way of who my relationship with God. So one of my goals when I moved to Atlanta was to really get back to my connection with God.
Yes.
Not a connection through a representative.
Right.
And in that space, it allowed me to be able to then say, okay, while I'm working this out for me, what else do I want to do? What else do I want to flourish in? What else do I want to kind of accomplish? And again, it was never, starting a business was never something that I even had fathomed and or thought about until, that time that I mentioned the Holy Spirit speaking to me. Because again, I'm very clear on, my relationship with God.
Yes.
And so leaving the ministry was not kind of like a catalyst to go into entrepreneurship, but it was a part of the process of the story. Because again, as I'm sure you will get into next, where I am now, I'm right back where, I kind of stepped away from when it came to ministry, but it took a lot of time for me to heal in that space. And I'm still healing. Let me be very clear. I have not arrived when it comes to my spiritual journey. I am not fully healed. Some of the wounds are still fresh. And I will be quite honest with you, it has taken not only my own, due diligence to really connect back to God, but even therapy has truly, truly helped me, really kind of unpack some of that stuff. Because what I tend to do is I'll hoard it. I'll put it away in a box and move it onto the side, not knowing that I'm still carrying it, and it doesn't belong to me to begin with. I will be even more transparent with you and say that I recently just had an issue as of last week that rose up. It triggered me from some of our, experiences in the past, that I had to be like, wait a minute. Okay, this looks familiar. This sounds familiar. This tastes familiar. I'm triggered.
Yeah.
Now let's explore why I'm triggered.
Right.
And then that then says, okay, well, I thought I was over the situation, or I thought I had moved on past it, but maybe I hadn't. Maybe there's some residual, soupla left over, that, I need to still address. So, we come from, and let me be very clear. I want to, because I don't know who's going to see this, but I just want to make it very clear that this, for those that may think they know our past, this is not directed, our experiences are not directed at one particular person and their situation. But we look at it for the linear of all that we experience. And one of the things that I had to do is that not only did I say, these are the things that happened to me, but these are also the things that I participated in.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
these are the things that I still played a part in the result of how this has affected me. You
Yes.
know, I had to come to that realization, and I'll be honest and say, you know, it took me a while to get there, but it is truly, you know, allowed me not to play the victim.
Mm-hmm.
Because I never, playing the victim never really appeals to me, because there was always some part that you played in the situation,
Yeah.
in this case, in this form. So yeah, you know, it's a lot, sis, but I'm grateful for the time, because again, I look at it holistically and
Yes.
say, you know, look at where we are now. Look
Yeah.
at what we're accomplishing now. Look at what we're doing now.
Mhm.
And to still have the connections that we have, to still
Yeah.
have the love that we have, to still
Yeah.
have the laughter that we have, you know. So I definitely think that it has really been a great process. It has its days, but it's been a great process.
Yeah. Yes. So we talked before we started, before we started our just interview portion of
Yeah.
it. We did talk about you going back into ministry, right? Which I did not know that you were that. So we've had now this full circle moment. So,
Yeah.
so you've had this time of healing. Now you have your company, and now you are kind of coming back to a place that was really really an instrumental part of your life,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. I will say, you know, we always say in churchdom, I won't say Christendom, we'll say churchdom. We always say that God just has a sense of humor.
Hmm.
And in this particular situation, you know, again, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, I know that God is there, that God has always been there for me, even in cases and situations that people know nothing about. My constant has been God for me.
Hmm.
But God needed me to get into a space where I could be a little bit more connected with him, unbeknownst to me. So it was more like, I'm gonna usher you into this space so that I can get more out of you.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And that's truly what has happened with my Vision family. I am so grateful. You know, we had a relationship prior to, you know, my experience, but truly having you know, Bishop Allen as my pastor has been a different experience.
Hmm.
But then it also is great because of my previous experience, because then I can say, okay, I know what this looks like, I know what this sounds like, I know what this smells like,
Uh-huh.
but you know, let me proceed with caution and make sure that I handle this the right way this time.
Yeah, yeah,
And so that has also humbled me, that has also made me, you know, very cognizant to my interactions with people, so that it can truly be a God-centered relationship and a God-centered experience for both of us.
yes. Really quickly, how do you navigate now both ministry and entrepreneurship?
It's truly something I'm getting used to.
Hmm.
It's truly something I'm getting used to. And when I figure it out, I'll let you know.
Okay, because I'm still learning.
Listen,
One of the things that I've come to the realization, and I just mentioned this to a friend the other day, that what I do now in the digital media production space is a call. Like
yeah, yeah,
I've been called to the yes, I youth and young adults are always my heart. LGBTQIA youth and young adults are always my heart. Uh, Ministry in the ways that I do ministry, it's always going to be there. But this digital media space, this virtual space that we found out kind of catapulted in,
yeah,
especially since the lockdown, I truly believe that this is what the divine has called me to. Like, this is service. This is ministry, right?
Yeah.
And so there isn't a separation for me. I used to separate it because that's how many of us are taught to kind of separate it. We before we started our interview, we talked a little bit about Bishop Flunder and her sermon from a few years back. She talked about the both and God, right? And so and how we also, as children of God, as the creation, right? We're also both and so yeah, we can do ministry, I guess, in the more traditional sense.
Yeah.
But still do ministry in the public square, which is where we find ourselves.
Yeah.
With our companies.
I take a different, or not even a different, but I take the example. It's so funny we're having this conversation. I literally just watched Martin's reunion
Okay.
last night with all of the cast that were there. And they took a very special moment to talk about Tommy, who had passed, before they could really reunite. And it was very clear that he was a believer, and it was very clear that he loved God. And his wife spoke so eloquently about his spiritual, Christian relationship and his love for theater and the arts and etc. And how the two worked in tandem, because then the cast members came behind and said he always led us in prayer. He always, covered us when we needed to be covered, and etc. And so I truly believe that as you just said, there is no need for there to be a separation. When I walk into a room, I am a plethora of many things. I'm not just a singular. I'm not a monolith. I'm a plethora of things. I'm a child of God. I'm a believer, but I also am, a Black gay male, cisgendered male who, all of those things don't singularly identify me, but all of those things make me Dewayne. And I think that as entrepreneurs, for those entrepreneurs that might be watching, the minute that you stop trying to be just one thing is the minute that you will then open up to everything.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah. And I had a friend, because I was like, well, I want Swank to do this and I want Swank to do that. And they were like, well, can you just pick one thing for Swank to do? And I was like, no. Because I am there's so many things, there's so many areas and aspects that I can excel at, and I know that I'm good at, because they're gifts that were given to me, and I know that I have them, and I know that I can really, really excel at them. So we're gonna have multiple hands and multiple things. It's funny we're having this conversation, because I just told my brother the other day, I said, we're not done with theater. I was like, we're going to be at the Tonys. We're going to be accepting a Tony, because whether it's Swank is going to take its money once we become a full-fledged company and I can quit Delta and I can work full force with my company, then we can take that money and invest it in playwriters, LGBTQ playwriters that are coming up, that are trying to submit to have productions put on Broadway. Why can't we be a Jennifer Hudson where we just produce a show that just won a Tony? Like there's so many areas and so many aspects and gifts that God has given us and given me that, it can't be singular. It can't be singular. So I'm not surprised that you're excelling in this space, because this space is you. You know what I mean? But also the ministry space is you.
Yes.
But as you were mentioning, we're so taught that we have to separate the two. But imagine marrying the two and seeing what happens with your company, or seeing what happens with your business, or seeing what happens with your love or your passion or your desires. So
Wow. So this is my last question for you.
Okay.
Your bio states at the end, it says, the process is never bigger than the promise. The process is never bigger than the promise. And can you kind of unpack that a little bit for our listeners? What do you mean by that?
So I'll tell you where the line comes from, and then I'll unpack it for you.
Yes.
In one of my many years in ministry, I was a member of Empowerment Temple in Baltimore.
Mhm.
And in looking for a ministry to be a part of, I was a part of their lyric ministry, which was their spoken word ministry. And in a time in my life when I thought that I was going to outgrow the gay,
Mhm.
I wrote a piece that, really, really spoke to me trying to really find what I thought was supposed to be my life pattern at that time.
Mhm.
And the last line of that piece that I wrote says, "The process is never bigger than." I wrote that myself. The
Wow.
process is never bigger than the promise. So, you know, the promises of God. We can quote the scriptures all the time. And and I think as believers, we tend to, look at the things that we're promised: healing, wholeness,
Yeah.
power,
Yeah.
all of those things. And we look at the end before we actually look at the process that it takes for us to get there.
Yes, that's so true.
We don't even take in what the process is trying to show us and to teach us to get us to that point.
Yeah.
We're so focused on, I just want to be healed. I just want to be healed. I just want to be healed. Well, what is happening that is contributing to your healing before you actually get your healing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so I looked at it holistically that, our process for things, entrepreneurship, ministry, business, is the catalyst for the promise. But
Mm.
it's never bigger than the promise. Because then sometimes the other aspect of that is we get stuck in the process
Yes. Woo!
and and forget the promise that we have or the
Yeah.
promise that we're after. And so sometimes you have to tell yourself that the process that I'm in is never bigger than the promise that I'm after.
Ooh, that's so good.
And so in business, and as entrepreneurs, it's kind of like, when are people going to see me? When are they going to pay me what I'm worth? When am I really going to have the opportunities to show you the gifts that I actually have? These
Yeah.
are constant things I think about all day long. But I also have to remind myself that God will open the doors for the people that I need to be connected to.
Yes.
He's already strategically planned it. He's already, put those things in place. I just have to walk into putting it out there and
Yeah.
letting the world know, continually to let the world know, this is what I do. This is what I'm good at. I believe it first before you will.
Yeah. Ooh.
So that the process, that's kind of where it came from. The process is never bigger than the process. That's where it came from, and it's something that I truly, truly live by. At least I try to. Some
Yeah.
days.
Oh, this is so amazing. Thank you so much, brother, for joining us
I love
today.
you
I
so
love you
much.
so much. I love you so much. Tell the people how they can reach you. How can we
Oh
support you?
man. I'm gonna have Sue put all of the links so that you can follow and go through and all that great stuff. But you can start by going to swankartsent.com. That's SWANKARTSENT.com. That is our website. You can read some of our my bio. You can read some of our experiences and things that I've accomplished. And then if you have an event, we're nationwide, by the way. I didn't mention that. Swank Arts and Entertainment is
Nationwide?
nationwide. We have done events in New Orleans. We have done events, in Houston. And so if you have an event that you would like for us to manage and or produce, we can set up a consultation with you to, realize your vision, and then we can, make it come to fruition if you so choose. And that is in any area or aspect: production, in television, or concerts, or tours, or one-off events like the Stellar Awards, or
Mhm.
anything of that nature. If you need production assistance, MTV, VH1, BET, all of those awards shows, you need production assistance, you need to call Swank Arts and Entertainment. So that's one area. You can follow me. If you want to follow me personally, you can follow me at Dewayne Q on IG. That's DEWAYNE. But also follow Swank Arts ENT, same as the website, on IG and Facebook as well, to know and keep up with us and know what we're doing. But Sue, thank you. I love you so much.
Love you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to sit here with you.
Well, that was our amazing interview with Dewayne. I pray that all of you enjoyed it. I've certainly enjoyed catching up with my brother. Again, if you joined in while that interview portion was going on, Dwayne was not able to be live with us today because he is a flight attendant and he's currently in the skies. But we were able to catch up yesterday, and so what you viewed was an account of our conversation together. And so thank you so much for joining us for that. We do have a drawing to do. So before we do that, I want to give you an opportunity to go ahead and type in the hashtag inspire. Dwayne is giving away some Swank gear, and we want to make sure that who desires to win it wins it. So let's make sure that you type in hashtag inspire to be included in that drawing that we are going to do right before we end. But I do want to make sure that you know what's coming up next week, which I'm so excited. Next week, in celebration of Pride Month and in celebration of Black Music Month, we're going to have two guests next week. We're going to have the first half and the second half of Inspired by Kara next week. And so first half of Inspired will have Anna Deshawn, who is the founder of E3 Radio. And our second half will have Just Dominic, who is the founder of Bullet in Flight Radio. I promise you, you do not want to miss next week's conversation. You do not want to miss it. And so, listen, please connect with us. Connect, follow, like, subscribe. Again, we are on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube at Kara Solutions LLC. We're on Twitter at Kara Solutions, and you can head over to our website at www.kara-solutions.com. All right, let's get into our drawing. Let's see who has won some swag. Let me get this up for y'all. Let's see who has won some Swank swag this morning. Oh, well, yes, Mom. You better win some swag. So my mother has won some swag. Thank you so much. I so appreciate you, Mom, because you support each and everything that I do. And it's wonderful to have a mother. It's wonderful to have a parent that supports everything that you do. So, Mom, I'm not going to tell you what you need to do. I already have your address. I will make sure that I get that information over to Dwayne so that he can send you your gift from Swag personally. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Look forward again to seeing you next week. And until next time, I want you to stay lifted, stay motivated, and above all, I want you to stay inspired. See you next week.